बाबा सच बता, लास्ट वीक का एपिसोड देखी, तेरी जली ना कि तू नहीं था। तो
थोड़ा
इन स्पाइट
थोड़ा।
ऑफ बीइंग सो बिजी विद वर्क, तू फिर भी बोला तू आज फ्री नहीं है, और तो अभी टाइम निकाल के आया रात के 12 बजे।
Arey,
इसके
no,
पीछे
because you
रहस्य
all
क्या है?
because one sec, that you all recorded during the day at some 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Who the fuck can come at that time?
That's
You.
normal working
Yeah,
hours.
people who
Yeah.
don't have jobs.
So far, we would just like everybody to know, so far we've been making sacrifices of recording at 11 o'clock at night because of Baba.
No, that is
Yeah.
also because of Aadar being in London. So
मैं
Yeah.
था नहीं.
don't.
The whole time I was in London. You
As you can clearly see, the only two non-problematic members of this podcast who are available
हाँ,
at all times, every time, day, night,
this doesn't bode well
afternoon,
for y'all.
supper time is the two of us. तो या
Doesn't.
तो कौतुक अपने को भारी कुछ काम की जरूरत है, या तो
Serious.
आई थिंक एक टाइम ऐसा आने वाला है कि तू
ब्रो
और मैं ही करेंगे,
ब्रो मैं
क्योंकि
हाँ हाँ.
क्योंकि दिन है और उधर लंदन में सुबह है, तो दोनों नहीं आ सकते। तो गाइस, दिस माइट जस्ट बी टू ऑफ अस मेनी अ टाइम्स।
It'll be two people said so.
हाँ।
two people said so.
No, the other thing is, मैं 2-3 एपिसोड्स अभी नहीं रहने वाला बिकॉज ये मेरा जेन्युइनली नॉर्मल ट्यूसडे इवनिंग को हालत. So
And this is not Baba getting into a character for the episode today, so let's begin. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Internet Set. So, a show where we take animation with facts, satire, and personal stories, and we talk about them. And today's episode, as you can see from Baba's look, is crazy survival stories. Actually, apart from Baba's look, the other inspiration for today's episode was this article that I think all of us came across last week, which is this guy was at sea, okay, gone overboard in a small boat in the middle of the ocean with no help, and he survived for 24 days with the help of these three ingredients. Can you guess? Not ingredients, these three things. Can you guess what these three things were?
raw fish.
छूते, वो थोड़ी पानी पे में फिशिंग कर रहा है उधर।
अच्छा, सुसु.
वो नहीं, could have been, but no, other things.
Porn.
हाँ, क्योंकि उसको मिड ओशन मस्त पे के इंटरनेट मिल रहा है
और उसको
इधर
4G
साला।
मिल रहा है लेकिन
4G.
he's not asking for help.
अरे नहीं, वो कुछ, अरे वो लेके गया आएगा ना, टॉरेंट हार्ड ड्राइव लेके गया आएगा.
One second.
He's not calling for help. वो फटाफट I'll just rub one off really quickly. कोई
One
है नहीं
second.
इधर।
While we were talking about not using internet to get help, okay, I just want to quickly bring up this one thing because it's very small. There was a person who got lost in the woods, and people were calling them, rescuers were calling them, but they didn't pick up because they thought it was spam.
Wow.
Which
Wait, so with the people who were lost knew they were lost, right?
they knew they were lost,
हाँ.
but they
But
didn't.
why don't you just pick up and say, अच्छा रुक, मैं तेरा क्रेडिट कार्ड खरीदेगा, तू एक काम कर सकता है क्या मेरे लिए?
हाँ, पहले फोन कर प्लीज मेरी बीवी
नो,
को,
पहले
मम्मी
मेरे को
को।
ढूंढ, क्रेडिट कार्ड भेजेगा किधर?
किसी को फोन कर.
No,
Dude, the
but
thing is, अभी कोई भी मेरे को कॉल करता है ना, and if I see Bangalore, Karnataka written underneath it,
Don't answer.
yeah, reject.
Don't answer. मैं छत्तीसगढ़ भी don't answer.
Oh,
फिर
yeah,
मैं,
yeah, yeah.
अरे नया सीन हो गया, तमिलनाडु चालू हो गया, don't answer.
क्या बोल रहे हो
Basically,
तुम लोग? मेरे को वेस्ट बंगाल आता है यार.
मेरे को भी आ रहा है वेस्ट बंगाल, मेरे को हर टाइप का है, ठीक है। और आई एम नाउ पिस्ड ऑफ बिकॉज आई डोंट नो हु दीस मदरफकर्स आर, और उन लोग मेरे को या तो घर बेच रहे हैं, हॉलीडे होम बेच रहे हैं, मेरे फाइनेंसेस संभालना चाहते हैं। एक आध बार मैंने आंसर कर भी दिया, मालूम है, इट डजंट हैव अ प्रीफिक्स ऑफ एनी दिस, इट इज जस्ट 7056। तो बोला हाँ होगा कोई हेलो कास्टिंग। नहीं,
But
सब
by
लोग
the way,
stocks।
you know how good they've gotten. So I had to get my AquaGuard serviced. Okay, so I looked up AquaGuard servicing Mumbai,
Yeah.
okay, on Google. Within 30 minutes, I got a call. Hi, are you looking for one AquaGuard water purifier servicing? I said, आप कौन? नहीं, just I was inquiring. आपने कुछ ढूंढा है क्या?
नहीं, जस्ट मैं रमेश बोल रहा हूँ। मैं सोचा आपसे बात कर लूं क्योंकि आपके और मेरे इंटरेस्ट काफी मिलते हैं। मेरे घर पे भी एक्वागार्ड है,
Listen,
आपके घर पे भी
I don't
एक्वागार्ड है।
know. I don't know if the CIA knows about this guy, but they need to recruit him because 30 minutes, dude.
Bro,
Dude,
tomorrow
एक
is going to be there in your kitchen already repairing it, bro. तो ऐसे पानी लेने जाएगा तो उधर ऑलरेडी कोई है। यस सर, आपने गूगल सर्च किया था ना, तो मैं पहुंच गया आपके घर
Dude,
के
नहीं,
अंदर।
कभी कभी क्या होता है, the thing is like they are so clever now you screen call sometimes na, to मैं answer करके I just wait. Now they've also started waiting until I say hello. They don't talk. वो लोग भी म्यूट पे रखा हुआ है फोन को.
क्योंकि जैसे तुम्हें कोई एरर आवाज है, उनको मालूम है तू कट कर देगा.
हाँ,
वैसे दोनों साइलेंट.
दोनों silence.
It's
Who's
the
gonna
most
break first?
Indian standoff of all time.
But anyway, coming back to the topic.
Hello chicken.
Coming back to topic, which was survival stories. This is also a little survival story as to how we survive random calls. But the guy we were talking about, who was stranded at sea, survived for 24 days on ketchup.
How many samosas?
And nothing. Thepla vepla nahi tha uska, sirf ketchup tha, bro. And then he had like Maggie ka equivalent. This happened off the coast of Colombia. ठीक है. So he's stranded, he's gone there. और उसको पता नहीं अभी क्या करना है. उसको दिखा ये केचप, उसको मैगी टाइप दिखा और उसने थोड़ा पानी एल मैगो, और उसने थोड़ा सा पानी लिया, उसमें ऑलरेडी नमक था ही पहले, फिर मिक्स करके 24 दिन. Dude,
that's
fuck
extreme.
that. And you know how eventually he was rescued. So basically what he had also done is that on the side of the boat he had scribbled help. ठीक है. फिर ऑब्वियसली कोई है नहीं क्योंकि मच्छी को इंग्लिश नहीं आता है और कोई था नहीं आजू बाजू. ठीक है. तो बैठा है, उसको नहीं पता क्या करना. सडनली उसको प्लेन की आवाज आ गई और उसको रैंडमली एक कांच का ऐसे पीस मिल गया बोट में, कन्वीनियंट. तो वो लेके सन के ऐसे डायरेक्शन में डाके वो रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहा था. तो प्लेन सर्कल्ड अराउंड हिम ट्वाइस एंड वेंट. तो इसको लगा फक इन लोगों को मिला नहीं है.
इसने बॉबी देखी है.
प्लेन चले गया, प्लेन इन्फॉर्म कोस्ट गार्ड, फिर कोस्ट गार्ड आया एंड देन उसको आके बचाया.
But
24 days bro, ketchup खा के.
I just want to say that 24 days surviving on Maggie and ketchup, right? There are people living in hostels right now looking at this guy saying,
This is very bad precedent.
अबे नॉट ऐसे सिर्फ मैगी नहीं था, ऐसे थोड़े बहुत उसके पास पड़े थे यार. उसको क्या बोलते हैं? बुइलॉन क्यूब्स बोलते हैं ना.
बुयॉन क्यूब्स.
बुयॉन. हाँ बुइलन चले.
बुयॉन क्यूब्स.
हाँ ठीक है. फ्रेंच अनियन सूप साले.
Anyway,
Anyway, so I want to talk about a person who didn't have the luxury to eat French onion soup pasta when she was stranded. And it's a crazy survival story of this girl called Julian Kepke. She's from Peru and she had just completed her graduation. And she was flying out to meet her dad, who used to work in the Amazon forest. So morning started like any other day. This is 1970, okay? 92 people plus crew on flight. Flight takes off, and after a point, it's in her own word. She's like, I don't know what happened. She almost like saw like thunder, people shrieking, sounds of like almost like a blast happening and all of that. And it's too quick, right? अभी तेरे को thunder, lightning थोड़ी slow motion में दिख रहा है. तो एक साथ पे ऐसे massive explosion, lightning, people yelling, crying. Next thing she remembers is that she's falling, free fall, 10,000 feet, just free falling. And she lost consciousness. Imagine, she survived. All the other 91 people did, as you'll know in the later part of the story, but she survived a 10,000 foot drop. With only injury she got was a bad cut on her calf and a broken collarbone. So I'm assuming like she's hit trees, etc. on her way down. Then she regains consciousness after a few hours, only to sort of feel the pain and all of that, and then passes out again. So it takes her another full day to sort of completely like wake up fully. And obviously, as soon as she wakes up, she's looking for her mom. Her mom basically fell. She survived the fall, but then she died out of the injuries that she succumbed. So if there was help, she could have probably been saved. Now she is here, obviously looking for her mom, not knowing what to do, completely stranded in the middle of Peruvian forest. So you can imagine udhar kya chal raha hai. ठीक है? Young girl walking, and that's when one of her dad's really nice survival advice came to her mind, because dad used to works in the Amazon rainforest, and that advice was, whenever you see water, follow it upstream. right? Because that little water will lead to more water. That water will lead to even more water, and eventually you'll reach hell. So she
Yeah.
finds that stream, and keeping that advice in mind, she follows. Now, a part of it, she can still walk, but then there's also sort of inhospitable terrain where she can't really cross over. So that part she swims with a broken
Broken
collarbone.
collarbone.
Yeah, she's swimming. Then at some point ahead, now because the wreckage and the blast has happened, people, hull, wing, everything is just all over the place. And there's been searching going on. Huh? The largest manhunt, I think, till that point in Peruvian history was done to find any survivors, and they couldn't distinguish between crash and wreckage. That किधर टूटा है, ये कौन सा है, ये पहले का है, अभी का है, कुछ नहीं मालूम पड़ रहा है. So she swims and she comes across a part where she sees three people still stuck in their chairs, like their seats with the thing, and obviously they're dead. Upon checking one lady who she thinks is her mom, turns out it's not her mom. She can't find her mom. She checks the body and she finds, if I'm not mistaken, some like chocolate or like cookies or biscuits or something like that. Nothing that's going to give you vitamins
Sustenance, yeah.
to, yeah. But whatever, she takes that, and that's the only thing she manages to eat and survive for a while. She tries to make fire to get people's attention. She's many a times heard choppers flying by. But because the forest is so dense and it's one person you're looking for, it's not easy to find.
Needle in a
So,
haystack. Huh.
yeah, and then you have planes, helicopters. She's like, oh shit, now I'll be found. Doesn't happen. Eventually, after 9 days, she comes across a cabin in the forest. So she takes refuge there, goes, sleeps, and then she starts hearing voices. So she freaks out.
अरे यार.
And turns out, no, it's not that it was haunted. It's that the people who owned the cabin were coming back. And she said in her own words, she's like, when I saw that first man enter the door, I felt there was an angel. Like, can you imagine what's going through the mind of this
Yeah.
person? 9 days, alone girl, middle of the forest, mom's dead, everybody around her is dead, broken collarbone, injured leg, swimming, walking, surviving on cookies. She's like, it just changed. Like, I just thought it was an angel that walked in. But the people who saw her, they were not really this, they were scared of her because they thought that she is an incarnation of this water spirit that exists called Yemanjut or something. If I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. So they are scared initially that, dude, this is a demon child of the water or some shit like that. They let her stay one more day. And the next day they put her on a boat and then they go with her and they drop her off at a nearby hospital. Obviously, dad, everybody is alerted that we found a survivor. Only person to survive, everybody else on board dead. And the minute they find her after so long, she becomes instant celebrity, right? Everybody's just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
we have
Everybody
to
wants
find
to-
this girl who survived and all of that. So she could not really sort of, like, what do you call the word? Like, take it all in, like she didn't have time to grieve or, process. That's it. That's the word, process. So she's been thrown into the limelight, intensively interrogated by authorities. ये कैसे हुआ, ये क्या याद है वो? She has actually gone back with them and to
To the
help
site of the wreckage.
to the site. Oh, this happened here. I swam this way. This is where I found that. So they managed to then piece together everything that happened. And because she obviously couldn't process the grief and all properly, she developed this fear of flying. She obviously has anxiety, recurring nightmares. She went to Germany, studied there, came back, then wrote a book. And then there's a really good documentary on her that is also made called Wings of Hope. And her book is called The Day I Fell from the Sky. And basically, this documentary with her flying, sitting in 19F, the seat that she sat in when the flight crashed, going back to the crash site and them covering this whole journey in a documentary is what eventually sort of
helped her process
helped
that.
her process the whole thing. So that was the story of Julian Björk.
Sometimes when I hear stories like this, right, I can't tell whether it's good luck or bad luck.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, like,
Bit of both.
exactly, like the fact that you can't ever for sure be like 19F was lucky for me, unlucky, meaning I survived, but then at what cost, right? And it's like, and a lot of stories about survival are all, they start very similarly, like where there's, and I feel like, for example, another thing about how her dad was, he had a history of being in the Amazon. and so a part of it, almost like Slumdog Millionaire, where like the answers were
Dude,
always in her
she
past.
used her dad's survival advice randomly. Why would a dad, you know what I mean? Like it's at some point in time with his experience in the Amazon must have told her, it stuck with her. Never in her wildest dreams did she think I would have to ever use this advice. Right? Like अपन बेयर ग्रिल्स का शो देखते उसने बोला है कि ये ऐसा करेगा तो ऐसा होगा, लेकिन अपन देख के हंसते कि थोड़ी अपने साथ कभी होगा, लेकिन कभी अगर हो गया.
And what's great about these miraculous survival stories is just the human spirit to want to survive. Like without that, it's
no exactly. Imagine if you ask the same person to ये stretch जो तूने बचने के लिए किया है, तो ऐसे करेगी क्या? when you're Helen Hardy, चल ना हो जाए शेक, बोले fuck off, चिंती है, मैं नहीं आ रही, हट, मैं क्यों जाऊं उधर पेरुवियन फॉरेस्ट में काम करने, हट, मैं नहीं जा रही. But then when you're thrown into it and no help inside, alone, bro, मैं तो ऐसे फॉरेस्ट में ऐसे अकेले जाने में भी फटती है. ब्रोकन कॉलर बोन और इंजर्ड लेग तो दूर की बात, मैं से नॉर्मल हेल और हार्टी भी एक टाइम का तो फॉरेस्ट में आएगा फटने लगती है ब्रो.
करेक्ट, क्योंकि बहुत कबूतर रहते हैं ना.
हाँ, अबे कबूतर क्या क्या है उधर, कुछ भी आ जाएगा. वो अपोकलिप्टो का सीन है, कैसे भाग रहा है, उसके पीछे वो जैगवार भाग रहा है. ऐसा होता मेरे साथ, एक्सेप्ट मैं उतना टाइम पहुंचता नहीं, जैगवार पहले ही दबेश मुझे. But with this story, it's not one story of one miracle that has happened. If you look at it, it's three, right? One is your plane got struck by lightning, but it happened to like 1D, okay, and not 19F. Ek miracle. Second, you free fall 10,000 feet without a parachute or a wingsuit or fucking anything that Batman uses, right? तो ऐसे उल्टा जाके गिर रही है, तो वो बची.
और whatever
Batman uses, और वो पठान अरे जो मेरे पर. और थर्ड, ये सब होने के बाद तू फॉरेस्ट में 9 दिन जिंदा रही है, bro. It's 3 miracles.
Yeah.
It is 3. Most people survive 1.
And in some very extremely sentimental, poetic way, when those people saw her and they thought of her as some kind of miraculous god figure, they were almost right. Like,
they thought she was a ghost.
They thought she was a demon. She thought that person was an angel.
Was an angel. Imagine ना दोनों कैसे, वो ऐसे उसको मालूम ही नहीं, 9 दिन के बाद कोई मिल गया जो मुझे हेल्प कर सकता है, तो भगवान आ गए मेरे लिए.
But what would your reaction? My reaction would first be, actually नहीं, इतने दिन बाद तो you will think of them as gods, but
but थोड़ा मैं एक बार उसको डरा भी देता, अगर उसको पहले से लग रहा है कि मैं भूत हूँ एक ऐसा तो कर ही देता मैं थोड़ा.
आज से नहीं वरुण, तेरा कॉलर बोन टूटे.
हाँ.
No, in fact, I was thinking of the same thing. Like in that situation, even the most introverted person would be an extrovert. Like,
hey, hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Shit, sorry.
You would just feel so happy to be a part of the human race, to meet another human being. Like, it would just be so, like, you totally understand what Varun goes through on a daily basis. Like,
मैं एक पप्पी दे देता, bro. Confirm. एक straight make out. Sorry, sir, but you have no idea what I've been through. 9 days in the forest. मेरा कॉलर बन तो देखो, बेंचो. एक पप्पी तो बनती है.
I don't think I would have made 9 days. Like, survival instinct strong and all that, but like,
I can't pair this with this. I'm sorry. Why am I pairing arugula with human feces? I'm sorry, that's just not on my palate.
On a culinary level, I feel I should.
Or Baba could use 25 medicine, क्या है तेरा 11 medicine as the goal. कि चूते में यहाँ से 9 दिन बच के अगर निकल गया, मैं 11 medicine पे खा पाऊँ. Both ways.
Vegan food.
वो तो vegan बन चुका है अभी.
No, but Thakur, I see you're falling from an airplane 1,000 feet, and I literally raise it.
Yeah.
Who?
I'll tell you.
Face से गिरा कोई.
Okay, so this is a story of a Serbian flight attendant called Vesna Vulovic. Okay, now Vesna Vulovic worked for an airlines, and I'm not making this up, called Jat Airways.
Jat
Airways.
Jat.
Okay.
Japan कुछ नहीं, वो जाल है.
JAT.
And it was, JAT is an acronym for Yugoslovensky Aerotransport. So this was a Yugoslavia's national air carrier, okay, at the time. And in Jat Airways, on 25th Jan 1972, she was on this particular flight, okay, which was the Jat flight 367. Now, this flight's path was from Stockholm to Belgrade, okay, and it was going to stop at Copenhagen and Zagreb on the way. Now, here's the first of many coincidences that take place in the story. And again, it comes back to the same thing. Is it good luck, bad luck? This one's probably bad luck, but it's still a miraculous one. So here's what happened. She was not supposed to be on this flight, but Jat got it confused. And basically, they got her confused with another flight attendant called Vesna. So because of that reason, she's on this flight by mistake. Okay. Now, when it comes to Copenhagen, okay, the flight arrives at 2:30. And she noticed that there was one particular passenger who was behaving extremely oddly.
In
This
Copenhagen.
This
Okay.
guy's a little annoyed and just he's not behaving right. And it's not just Vesna who notices this, it's other people as well, but she remembers this. Now, what happens is that this guy gets off at Copenhagen. He had gotten on at Stockholm, gets off at Copenhagen. And the flight takes off. At 4 p.m. that day, there was a briefcase on this flight which contained a bomb.
Krypton bomb.
And it blows up at 4 p.m. Okay. Now, this plane splinters in the sky. It breaks apart. Okay. And as it breaks apart, people are flung out of this plane. Okay. Straight up, just ripped out. Now, she falls to the ground, and she falls. The plane breaks over a small village in Czechoslovakia. Now, here's what happens. In this village, there was a guy called Bruno Honke. Okay, and he rushes to the spot, and in the wreckage, he sees that there is one survivor, and it's Vesna Vulovic. Her flight attendant's uniform is covered in blood, and her heels have snapped, okay, because of the impact. But she's alive.
Not her shoe ka heels, her heel.
Ha. And the crazy thing about this, and here's miracle number 2. Bruno Hanke had been a medic in World War II.
Oh, hard.
And because he was a medic at the right place at the right time, he's able to keep her alive while the ambulance arrives. Now, scientists looked at how she could possibly survive this. Okay. And the reason she survived it was, again, another miracle. While everyone else had gotten flown out of the plane, a food cart, the food cart that's on the plane, it had trapped her. And it had trapped her in the fuselage. The fuselage was the body of the plane. So the body falls to the ground, and that particular time, in that particular year, there was snow on the ground. So the angle at which it fell and the snow basically cushioned her impact. Now, here's the last miracle. The last miracle is this. So to survive this kind of thing, usually on this kind of impact, people's hearts burst. Okay. The reason hers hadn't,
doesn't have a heart. That's miracle number 3. कि बिना heart के इतने टाइम से flying कर रही है. Sorry. हाँ.
No, it's not that she didn't have a heart. She had low blood pressure. Okay.
So it didn't pop open. Okay.
So the minute the cabin burst open and it got depressurized, she immediately got knocked out because of the low blood pressure. Now, she had this problem. She knew she had this problem, and this problem would have prevented her from becoming an air hostess in the first place. But on the day that she was going to take her medical exam, she had had lots of caffeine to bring her heart rate up. That's how she had gotten the job. So,
oh, wow.
And so it just so happened that the one person who could have survived this crash, because she had this condition, was trapped by a food cart on this plane that she was not supposed to be on.
Wow.
And
Wow.
rescued by a guy who happened to be a medic. Okay, so for
That's
a while,
insane.
it's crazy. And for a while, she was paralyzed. But eventually, she made an almost full recovery. The only thing that was left of this thing was the fact that she had a limp. And like she couldn't have kids in the future. But she, otherwise, mentally, physically, she was fine. So much so that she didn't even have a fear of lying. She reported back to work and said, I want to be an air hostess again. And Jack
Commitment.
said, sorry, because if we put you on a plane, other people will panic.
Yeah.
So,
So but she just had a limp at the end of it when she went to apply again.
yeah.
Fuck, bro.
And
This
she ended
is
up with a desk job at Jet Airways. And here's the thing. So she holds a very a record that's miraculous, but no one would want to have it. It's a Guinness World Record for surviving the highest fall without a parachute. And that fall was 33,000 feet.
Holy shit.
That's Vesna Vulovic.
That's proper.
that's
First of
insane.
all, the oxygen nahi hai. How are you surviving that? Because I think
Skydiving.
that's legit flight. हाँ, that's legit flight
ये
height.
ये सब पिक्चर बने नहीं है क्या अभी तक?
Bab-
अपन बना रहे पहले ही बोल रहा हूँ.
अब बना रहेगा Jet Airways. She's
Airways,
Jet
bro.
and-
People will
हाँ.
come and think अरे कुछ funny होगा कि इधर फ्लाइट पे उन लोग स्कॉर्पियो लेके आ गए ऐसे, but नहीं. ये यानीचा यांकोविच की स्टोरी है. कंफ्यूज की. और पहले तो ये क्या है?
But it's also played by Akshay Kumar.
Yes, sure.
Vesna is played by Akshay Kumar.
Yeah.
बस.
Dude, it's literally Flying Jack. Oh shit.
Insane.
हाँ,
और है क्या कोई कहाँ से गिरा कोई गिरे हुए कहानी?
मेरे को गिरा हुआ नहीं है.
Hmm.
But I want to take you all the way from the snow-capped peaks of where? Yugoslavia. No, Czechoslovakia. To
So Yugoslavia.
the boiling hot desert of the Sahara.
Hmm.
Oh,
So just for context, this story is there is a marathon that's been running in the Sahara, that's been in the Sahara since I
That's
think
called migration, ना?
since
Public
19
अच्छा इधर नहीं
वो
रहने का
Moses
गरम
वाला.
हो रहा है मेरे को और फिर चलते गए फिर पार्ट नहीं.
Baba, very sorry to interrupt, but the very phrase, there is a marathon that is being run in the Sahara.
Sahara.
yes.
This is by people stranded in the desert or this is voluntarily कोई जाके लिख रहा है बोल रहे कि चल
I'm
भागते
coming
हैं
to
सारा.
it. If you allow me, I'm coming to it.
How is this normal?
Milind Soman है क्या?
Exactly. So it's called Marathon des Sables. Okay, or Sable or Sab.
ये
depends
Milind
on how the
Soman का है,
French
महाराष्ट्र नहीं लग रहा है.
हाँ हमारा
Okay.
साबले.
So it is Marathon of the Sands. Okay, it is also known as the Sahara Marathon. It's a 6-day marathon. The distance is 251 kilometers, which is almost like running 6-ish marathons, right? And
क्यों मैराथन 40 किलोमीटर का होता है सिर्फ?
हाँ, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
वो छोटा वाला होगा.
42 होता है 42.
42 होता है. Main marathon is 42.
42. So now the thing is, it is obvious to say it's 251 kilometers, so it's a multi-day race, right? It doesn't happen immediately. Now this marathon started in 1986, okay, by a guy called Patrick Bauer, who traversed the Sahara on foot. Now, why and all this, I'm not going to. It's not relevant to this story. But he traversed the Sahara.
कुछ खाया, drugs फूका है.
And obviously there is a male winner and a female winner invariably. But since 2013, so that's 9 marathons in a row, 2011 and then 2013 to now, the same guy has won it.
Because he's the only guy in this marathon. हर साल अकेले भागने को है क्या? सर कोई नहीं आया ये साल भी.
अरे वो मिराज है सर, आपके साथ कोई भाग रहा नहीं, आपको इमेजिन हो रहा है.
सर आप अकेले हो सर रेस में, आप अकेले हो. 6 साल से आपको बोल रहे हैं, आप समझ रहे नहीं हो. मैराथन में
भागने की जरूरत नहीं है.
चूतिया बना रहे पब्लिक को इधर. Sorry.
It's pretty crazy. Okay, his name is Rashid El Morabiti. Okay, so that's how. This is the context. Okay, this is the race that I'm talking about. Now we cut to the year 1994. All right, where there is a gentleman whose name is Mauro Prosperi. All right, He
Just
was
making names up as they go.
he's an Italian. He is an Italian, former Italian policeman and a penta athlete, Olympic penta athlete. All right. So he had this to his name, and obviously usko, therefore, as a result, as a fitness कीड़ा करने का शौक था. And he sort of wanted to push it to the extreme. So he sort of wanted to run this Saharan marathon, the Marathon des Sables. Now, he got a friend of his fellow running mate called Giovanni Manzo. And they sort of said, ठीक है करते, भागते रेस.
ये क्या फुक्के लोग अग्री करते हैं यार, आ रहा है क्या भागने स्टैंडर्ड मैराथन. हाँ आजा आजा.
Okay, so they've decided to run this. They've decided to run this marathon together. Okay, so they practice. They do whatever, that dehydration training, फलाना ढिमका, ये सब किया है. ठीक है. उसका बीवी ने उसको ना नहीं बोला प्रॉस्पेरी का, लेकिन उसने बोला ठीक है कर ले, but ये this doesn't sound like a good idea.
Baba, this sounds like the next best thing to divorce.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, to give you some context, what's happened is the marathon started on the 10th of April. All right. So on the 10th of April, Manzo, Prosperi, and so our protagonist Prosperi, Manzo, his friend, and about 80 other runners, none of who have been winning since 2011.
80 people.
Okay. So 80 other runners, start to sort of run. Now, during the first 3 days of the marathon, Prosperi and Manzo have covered about 100 kilometers, like about some 90 or 100 kilometers. And they've got, salt beds, rock surfaces, because you have to understand, this is the Sahara Desert. This has everything.
बाबा जस्ट तूने इन लोग सैंड पे भाग रहे,
सैंड पे भी भाग रहा है, सॉल्ट फ्लैट्स पे भी भाग रहा है, जो भी मिल रहा है टेरेन भाग रहा है.
क्योंकि मैं इमेजिन करा भागते भागते मैं अंदर ही चले जाऊंगा ब्रो. इधर भाग रहे कैसे?
तो रॉक सर्फेसेस
साइड में से अक्षय कुमार कर रहा है सना सन सना ननू,
सब कुछ चल रहा है. ठीक है.
स्लाइड करके.
So now all of them, obviously marathon hai, so they all start running at the same time and different paces. So, people move up and down or whatever. Now, you have to navigate the desert yourself. That's the race regulation. Okay. So you have to navigate the desert yourself. You have a self-contained, you have to carry your own food supplies. You have to carry your own clothing, your own sleeping bags, your own compass, your portable stove, emergency kit, and a signal flare. Okay. Okay. You have to carry all this on your own and run this race.
A cyanide pill. Because you'll be like, fuck this. Aage Maresh, hut.
Okay. Now, and here's the kicker. While you carry all of this food, water. You don't have. Water is provided at race checkpoints.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
और चूती भी खड़े अंदर डेजर्ट में, क्या पब्लिक आ रही है?
वो जो जीता वही सिकंदर रनर्स यहाँ तक पहुंच चुके हैं.
That's hilarious.
So anyway, so now 3 days they've run and they've done their thing and all that shindig and all. और ऐसा नहीं है कि तू रात को ऐसा गड्ढा गाड़ के तेरे आगे वाले, तेरा जो कंपेटिटर सोया है उसके आगे जाके टेंट गाड़ दिया, ऐसा सब नहीं होता है. You can run whenever you want, you can rest whenever you want, you can do whatever you want. Like, just people do it sensibly. That's all that it is, right? Now, on the 4th day, which is the April 14th, there's the longest span of the marathon. Everywhere, that's about 86 kilometers. That one stretch that you need to do, right? Now what happened here is, Prosperi had done pretty well so far. All right. In fact, he had left his friend Manzo also behind, and he was running in place to possibly get 4th place. Okay, in this marathon.
इतना करने के बाद 4th place.
अरे but नहीं, वो पहुंच रहा था. And it was almost like some 50, 46, 47 degrees or whatever. And this suddenly there was obviously swirling winds and things like that had started. And you could start, I mean, Prosperi started to feel not just the heat, but also these rapid, these semi-sandstorms that sort of came towards him and stuff like that. Right. So now while he was doing this, he got an idea. Okay. He said, ये बहुत आ रहा है, it's starting to have an effect on me as a runner. So what I'm going to do, in the middle of he began to cut across small sand dunes to increase his pace. Okay. Now, what happened is because of the gusts of wind, those sand dunes became bigger and bigger and bigger. As a result, Prosperi's vision started to blur because they were rising. And he couldn't sort of do this, and it started to become a sandstorm, a full-fledged sandstorm. Now, Prosperi is thinking that if there is a sandstorm and I stay stationary, because now I am under the sand dunes, I will get submerged in the sand. So he keeps running. Okay. He has run through the entire sandstorm, or not run, but he has moved through the entire sandstorm, which was 8 hours long, that sandstorm.
वो 8 घंटा भाग रहा है सैंडस्टॉर्म के थ्रू
भाग रहा है, चल रहा है, जो
चल रहा होगा, क्रॉल कर रहा होगा.
ठीक है. And this is a quote from Prosperi himself. He
But
says,
he's running
alive?
into the storm.
no, he's running despite the storm, not into the storm. Now,
तू बोल रहा है he's alive, survival story discuss कर रहे हैं. Of course he's alive.
अरे मेरे को लगा वो मर गया, लेकिन फिर उसका दोस्त आके उसको मिल गया, तो सर्वाइव दोस्त नहीं किया, मर गया.
It's like वो 300 का story बताता
so
ना.
he's running.
Leonidas.
So he's running through this sandstorm. Now here is a what's it called? A quote from him. Okay, and I'm reading this of Wikipedia. The quote says, "When the sandstorm started to blow, I lost sight of everybody else. I kept running though because I thought I could see the trail. I was in 7th place and I didn't want to lose my standing. It was nearly dark before the winds relented. I started running again, but after a few minutes, it occurred to me that I had lost the trail."
I thought that was going to end with I had lost the race.
Yeah, no, the trail. Now, because of this whole like sandstorm and stuff like that, he already had just the sand constantly scraping your face and stuff like that. He had bleeding within his nose, injuries to his throat, all of this stuff. And that evening, when the storms sort of passed, he stopped to take shelter in a bush, covering his face with a towel. Following morning, he awoke and he continued to run. He sort of, climbed to the summit of a tall dune and he looked around and he's like, "Lag gaye lord, kuch bhi nahi dikh raha mere ko. Landmarks nahi hai, jo race path tha, ye sab kuch bhi nahi hai." And he also noted by then that his water bottle was depleting. Water. So now he has started to sort of figure out, how am I going to do this and stuff like that. And again, he had a grandfather who was in the war and had experience as a soldier. And he remembered saying that soldiers sort of recycle by, recycling their survive or maintain their hydration levels by recycling fluids. So he started peeing in his spare bottle. Right? Now, according to race rules, you have to remain stationary and wait rescue. But, and again, one low helicopter sort of was flying over him and he tried to, do hello and all of that. Did not happen. Now, the following day, he started, looking. So he would remain, he would stay in one place and then he would early morning do the walking, and night may he would do the walking. But during the day, he would try to find some trees or some rocks or something like that and hide, right? Then finally, he came to a shrine. Okay, a Muslim Marabout or Marabout shrine, right? A Marabout is a Muslim religious leader, like a teacher. So he, uska ek shrine tha. And unfortunately, that shrine was deserted. It was uninhabited, except for the body of the person in the shrine. Right?
The person's body was in the shrine.
The holy man in a coffin. The holy man, the guy who it was a shrine for, was in the coffin, in that thing. And he used this shrine as a shelter for a few days. He ate portions of his food ration. He sort of, attempted to maintain hydration by sucking upon wet wipes, licking dew of rocks, drinking his own urine, all of this. He sort of, tried to put an Italian flag on top of the shrine so that, if there was somebody who sort of spotted an Italian flag in the middle of, the Moroccan desert, they would sort of, but nothing.
Confused as to why there is an Italian shrine in the middle.
Yeah. And then he found a colony of bats.
What?
So he removed their heads with a pocket knife, sucking their blood,
Bats?
eating their insides raw. Yes.
एक सहारा में
Yes.
बैठ है.
हाँ, रहेगा ना.
He was
So-
eating the bats like full Aussie level.
Yeah. So he
but-
sort of
Yeah.
Like
did all this.
COVID level.
Yeah. He further drew upon, and again I'm quoting, he further drew upon bird eggs, beetles, lizards. He found food near the shrine, absorbing any moisture from these animals and cooking their flesh. On the fourth day, a plane flew over his location and he used his distress signal, which he had, in the hope that they would see it, but absolutely not. So at this point, he decided that, all right, this is not happening, because another sandstorm struck and it lasted about 12 hours. And, he had absolutely no chance to do anything. So he wrote a farewell message to his family with a piece of charcoal on the wall. And he said, I'm going to cut my wrists and die here. And the reason for this is because he did not want to die in the desert, because the Italian government would wait 10 years before he was declared dead if his body was not found. And so his wife wouldn't get compensation. So he said, if I'm in the shrine, at least at some point when the Bedouins come, they will see the body and my wife will get compensation. And so he said, I'm going to cut my vein. And he cut his vein and he woke up the next morning to very minimal bleeding. Not just because his incisions were shallow, but because his blood had clotted blood. His veins had sort of clotted blood because there was no water in his system.
Oh my God.
So the fact that he hadn't had enough hydration, his clotted blood had actually, it's actually what saved him. It didn't flow out. And so this act, this miracle, sort of gave him the confidence, saying, nahi yaar, bro, main nahi marega, right? And then he sort of started walking for days, and as he walked for days, again, same thing, subah and sham ko, दिन में वो ऐसा cliff cave, थोड़ा बहुत जो छांव है ये वो, sometimes he dug deep pits into the sand and submerged his body so that he could stay warm in the night, and all of this. And he did the same thing, plant root, जो भी snake, lizard, food, जो भी मिल रहा था. On the 8th day of his disappearance, he found an oasis.
Oh.
Okay. It had a puddle of water, but he because of his system and body, he couldn't swallow. The first few mouthfuls, he just sort of threw it up. And then he just sort of laid next to that puddle for hours. And whenever he could, he would sort of, drink the water and stuff like that. Then finally filled his water bottle and continued walking. That day in the evening, he identified fresh goat droppings. And the minute he saw that, he started,
That means herders, na? There are people who are
yes.
like
So he started walking towards them, and it led them
goats के बारे में मेरे से पूछने का.
And he led them to human footprints. And then he noticed a young girl tending to like a herd of goats. And he started running towards her, and he's saying, save me or whatever. The girl started screaming and disappeared over the dew.
Because
she ran. And he was like, because she looked at me aghast and stuff like that. However, the girl returned with the grandmother, and he was taken to a Berber tent in a Berber tent in the camp. After being tended to, they gave him goat's milk, tea, food, all of that. He threw up. Yes, sab. After all of this, they took him to the nearest village, and he was turned over to the patrol of the military police. You think his torture would have ended?
Jail mein daal
diya. Nope.
Bajesh.
There, he was turned over to the patrol of military police, who blindfolded him in suspicion that he may have been a Moroccan spy. He was taken to a military base, interrogated, and then finally identified and taken to a hospital. Basically, he had wandered 289 kilometers off course from the marathon track and he had crossed the Jebel mountain range and had gone into Algeria.
Oh shit.
Wow.
वीजा भी नहीं था उसके पास.
Oh shit.
So, and then of course, he was in Algeria, he was in hospital for a while and stuff like that. And then, all of that finally.
फिर वहां से वो फ्रांस गया. अभी वो फ्रेंच टीम में फुटबॉल प्लेयर.
So imagine, dude, after all of this, you end up 80th in that fucking race.
चल तेरे को डेजर्ट ने नहीं मारा, लेकिन तू उधर बैठ के लिजर्ड, सांप, स्कॉर्पियन खा रहा है, उससे कैसे नहीं मरा ब्रो?
नहीं, so the thing is, if you remove the stinger is only there. That's with scorpions and all, and lizards are not.
अंदर
नहीं, poison ducks नहीं तो they have their poison there only. They sting themselves, they'll also die.
But guys, the story doesn't end.
गलती से ऐसे दिया ना तेरा स्कॉर्पियन और तूने अपने सर पे मार दिया था. अरे fuck यार, ये मंगेश ना खुद को मार देता हमेशा.
So following his disappearance, the race regulations of this were altered to ensure that the safety was more improved. They have
air tags.
They have heavier and larger distress phrase and all of that to be used in case of disorientation also. Now, Prosperi has returned to the Marathon des Sables.
क्या चूतिया है.
6 times.
उसके
6
बाद?
times. Yes. He has returned.
Actually bro, अभी तो उसको पूरा मालूम है किधर क्या है, कौन सा बैट खा सकते हैं, कौन सा लिजर्ड कहाँ पर मस्त फास्ट फूड मिल रहा है, कौन सा मैं सैंड डिग करके रह जाऊं जिससे मैं मरूं ही ना. 12 घंटा सैंड स्टॉर्म 3 बार कोई कैसे करता है. 290 किलोमीटर गलत जगह में चल के गया आदमी.
Thakur, now he wins the race because he doesn't carry his portable stove or anything.
हाँ, कुछ नहीं, अभी सीधा भागते रहता है. माँ चुदा.
I have
One sec. He has done this. He has returned 6 times, and his most notable finish is 13th in 2001. All right, and he said, and his quote is, "I feel a connection there. I love the clarity, and you see the Sahara, and you see the Sahara saved my life.
To the finish line.
उसको PTSD हो रहा है भाई.
You see, the Sahara spared my life. Those days in the desert were my happiest."
और उसकी बीवी ने उसको निकाल दिया है घर से, ये लाइन पेपर में पढ़ने के बाद.
इसके लिए तो जा रहा है वो.
12 दिन बैट खा के तुझे मजा आ रहा था, मैं रोज सुबह पोहा दे रही हूँ गर्मा गर्म, वो तुझे अच्छा नहीं लग रहा. साले बैट चल निकल, तो फिर चले जाता है, क्या करूँ, चल रेस में जाता हूँ. Why is this race?
I love the fact that now I want to know exactly what they've implemented so that the runners don't get lost. Like, is it like JJWS जहाँ पे commentator को वो commentator, अगर तू JJWS देखेगा, वहाँ पे commentator वो टेबल पे पड़ा होता है, नीलकमल के टेबल पे खड़े रह के वो exactly बता रहा है साइक्लिस्ट कहाँ कैसे क्या कर रहे हैं.
साइक्लिस्ट बारामुल्ला के खाइयों में आ चुके हैं और मैं पिलर नंबर 7 से सब चल रहे होते.
अच्छा, one more, the girl in the desert who decided वो से भाग रहा है. पहली बात तो I agree with the girl getting scared, because if you see a man coming
see a man coming like that, इधर अंधेरी में देखेगा तू डर जाएगा. सहारा में randomly sand के बीच में से कोई आ रहा है,
also eyes were sunken in and all of that.
And I don't blame the guy also. I don't blame the dude also, because you see a person, that's hope. तो ठीक है.
And you don't even know if that's a person. क्या तू imagine कर रहा है 9 दिन बैट खाने के बाद.
But also she knows to get her grandmother, because this is some protocol they must have set in place, क्योंकि हर 2-3 महीने में एक बंदा तो आता होगा ऐसे हालत में.
पिछले बार अभिषेक बच्चन फ्रॉम रेफ्यूजी आया था.
And they know only one word, race.
U-turn 295 that side. 295 that side. Algeria, Morocco.
एक इंडियन होना चाहिए वहां पे जो ऐसा इंडियन सिटिंग इन अ क्राउचिंग पोजीशन डूइंग नथिंग. अरे बहुत आगे आ गए आप, देखो वो माउंटेन रेंज है ना, उसमें से वापस जाओ घूम के और फिर वहां से यूटर्न लो. वहां पे एक गाय बैठी होगी, बगल में गोट होएगा, उधर से लेफ्ट लेना.
No, but also, the thing is, even in these situations, right, where people get saved, like, it's one of those places where people forget about money and, those other trappings, right? Like usually if a guy came out and said कि मेरे को पानी दे दे free में, नहीं नहीं 20 रुपए का bottle तू खरीद इज्जत से.
चूंकि मैं डेजर्ट से भी कोई भाग के आया तो बोलूंगा 20 रुपए का बाटली है तो निकाल. मैं डेजर्ट में था, वॉलेट नहीं तेरे पास? नहीं वॉलेट,
जीपे, यूपीआई,
कुछ भी दे दे.
But
मेरे
I'm
पास
assuming-
मेरे
I'm
पास ये 15 बैट के सर है. देखो क्या है ना सर, अगर बैट का सर निकाल देते तो खा सकते हैं आप. तो तू बैट के अंदर का पानी पी चूते. हाँ वाह.
तो बैठ के अंदर का पानी पी. No, the thing is, the thing is now I'm assuming they have like, I don't know, like a satellite bug on each of their uniforms and
एयर
stuff. like
टैग्स,
तो-
सबको एक एक एयर टैग डालो.
that.
मेरे को लगता है सब लोग भाग रहे हैं ना, बाजू में कोई गाड़ी में ऐसे ड्राइव करते रहते हैं उनके साथ देखने के लिए कि चूते लोग किधर.
अरे वो
Sandstorm के
अनिल
बीच
अंबानी
में.
थोड़ी है.
और वो खुद गायब हो गया और वो खुद लेफ्ट ले लेता है और अल्जीरिया लेके जाता है इन लोगों को.
अरे लेकिन आई अंडरस्टैंड, वो स्टॉर्म में हो गया होगा ना. स्टॉर्म में तो गाड़ी भी तेरे
अल्जीरिया वाले
बगल में
बोले
होगी.
पॉपुलेशन बहुत बढ़ रहा है आजकल. अरे सर क्या बोलो, 80 लोग हर साल गलत लेफ्ट लेके इधर पहुंच जाते हैं. मैं पॉपुलेशन बढ़ गया है 800
पता
लोगों
नहीं,
से.
लोग हमारे गोट की टट्टी को फॉलो करते जा रहे हैं. पता नहीं क्या करें हम.
You think if you open Tinder in the sub-Sahara desert, तेरे को 2 मैच मिला.
एक्चुअली हेंसल एंड ग्रेटल वो ब्रेड क्रम्स क्यों गिरा रहे थे? बस एक गोट को साथ में लेके जाते. दे वुड नो हाउ टू गेट बैक होम.
That's
क्योंकि
true.
तू डेजर्ट में ब्रेड क्रम्ब गिराएगा तो तेरा क्या याद रहने वाले. चीते कवर
वो तो ब्रेड सेम कलर है ना.
हाँ तो ब्राउन ब्रेड मत लेके जाना चूतिए, तू व्हाइट ब्रेड लेके जा.
That's the highly sophisticated technology that they've come up with. They
ये
told
बाबा ये रेस चालू कभी हुआ है? ये पहले
1986.
86.
अरे
क्या चूतिए लोग हैं. तो ये असली आयरन मैन तो ये है.
Yeah. Hey, भेजते हैं यार. We should please send a link to Milind Soman and see what happens. Just
Okay.
Milind Soman, go to Milind Soman's profile
and tell him to do this race.
Say internet said so, send me here. We challenge you to finish the Ablas de Sahara and try and beat Prosperity. Marathon de
Please come better. Please place better than 13th.
Please
Yeah.
don't do this.
but
Just don't do
barefoot-
this.
मराठीन से सबड़.
Holy
हाँ.
shit.
Please don't do
भाग
this.
जाएगा भाई. Why do it ना चूतिया. अगर मिलिंद सोमन ने रिएक्ट किया तो अपने को पब्लिसिटी मिलेगा. Guys, please do it. Please.
Yes.
Request,
And we will
request
call
you.
and we will.
Someone
and
is
please,
not
Milan,
going to react.
after you win the race, please come on
What
the
is the
podcast.
harm? What is the harm in trying? What is the harm in trying? You guys go on Milind Soman's thing, comment and say we challenge you. We are from TIS,
And if
not
you say
Tata
TIS,
Institute.
everybody is
We
going
are
to
from-
think
No,
it's
no, no,
Tata
don't say
Institute.
Tata. Don't say Tata Institute. Say we are from the internet said so. Say नाम वाम डाल दो. Varun, Aadar, Kautuk, Neville, and we challenge you to do sub-Saharan Ablas the
It's
marathon.
Marathon de Sable. But please don't.
Marathon of the
sabad.
sand. Marathon of the sand.
या तो फिर लिख दो Prosperity greater than Milind.
Or just
Oh.
उसको कंफ्यूज कर दो. तो मिलिंद सोमन खुद ना प्रॉस्पेरी कौन है, फिर जाके वो गूगल करेगा. परसों उसने अनाउंस नहीं किया ना वो भाग रहा है सहारा में. ट्राई कर देना. सोशल एक्सपेरिमेंट. गाइस प्लीज डू इट एंड आल्सो लाइक शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब. हाँ
what do you want them to do now? You've given them
बोला तो-
14 instructions.
All,
नहीं नहीं
do
बस
all.
कमेंट में लिखो
Select
from
all.
TIS. Please go to.
अबे टिस नहीं फ्रॉम द
हाँ, not TIS, not
the internet said so.
हाँ.
Send us here. We challenge you to do marathon de Sablas and beat Prosperi. बस.
Not Prosperi greater than Milind.
नहीं 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 वो
Or
too
if
much.
if you have time, you can do that also.
हाँ.
तो अभी मैं अच्छा तू और किधर ले जा रहा है? डेजर्ट से ले जा. किधर नेक्स्ट?
मैं लेके जा रहा हूँ कोलंबियन फॉरेस्ट में.
अबे वापस कोलंबिया आ गया.
वापस
हाँ.
कोलंबिया.
अपनी शुरुआत कोलंबिया से हुई थी. हाँ.
So this is a double whammy because this is a monkey fact.
Oh.
This is a story about Marina Chapman.
Hmm.
Okay, and trust me, this looks like a script of multiple films. Okay, you remember the movie Mama?
Yeah, the horror movie ना, जिसमें ये अपना जेमी लैनिस्टर है ना उसमें.
हाँ, and अपने
And this is
जो
Guillermo.
Zero Dark Thirty
Guillermo
में
has
जो-
produced it.
हाँ,
Jessica Chastain.
Jessica
Yeah.
Chastain was also there in
The
Mama.
girl who's in the forest left alone for very long.
Two
something
girls.
like that, right? Two
हाँ,
girls. Yeah,
so
yeah.
this is one girl, Marina Chapman. So when she was 5 years old, this is her describing her first memory. Okay, she says before this she can't remember anything. It's like she tried her best, she can't remember her family, nothing. Her earliest memory is of being 5 years old, playing in some ground, like bacche sab khel rahe. She says that I could hear children when this was happening. So I have memory of other children crying. She remembers two dudes coming behind her and putting a black handkerchief on her face. She's saying it probably had chloroform. Again, remember, 5-year-old. Chloroform or what? Usko kidnap kar liya. And they drove her deep into the Colombian forest. And they like threw her out there. Now she says that she heard them discuss about how to come pick her up again. They're just stashing her there, and बच्ची है कितना दूर जाएगी, and then these guys fucked off planning to come back, but they never show up. Now she's roaming around there, crying, weeping, screaming. उसका जो ड्रेस था, जो बच्चे लोग का एक ड्रेस फ्रॉक टाइप होता है, it's destroyed. And now she has no hope until a family of capuchin monkeys shows up. Now she finds them. Now these monkeys, the capuchin monkeys as a breed are very friendly towards humans. They say like elephants, most elephants find humans cute. Capuchin monkeys are more familiar, like gorillas won't really accept you, but capuchin monkeys are more familiar. And as a 5-year-old, she was bigger than everybody, like all the monkeys. So she is formidable size. But they are not.
कितने छोटे monkey?
Capuchin monkeys are small. Capuchin monkeys are quite.
Ross
Geller is capuchin monkey. Correct. I think so. So now these guys, now they are not no try, like whatever monkeys ka kya hota. No group of monkeys are really going to accept you. Shit, I should know what a group of monkeys. A scream? No, what are they called?
You want a collective noun for the group of monkeys? I will find it for you. But sure.
Howl. No, it's something to do with
a planet of monkeys.
Troop. No, it's called a.
No, I think it's scream or howl or troop.
Yeah, troop.
Okay. A troop of monkeys. So they
you
don't
can
accept
also say barrel, carload, cartload, or tribe if you want. But troop is best. I think
a troop is the
So these monkeys, they don't accept her immediately until one elderly monkey who she decided to who she dubbed as grandpa. She called him grandpa monkey. So this grandpa monkey one day usko taras aaya and isko leke gaya to muddy water. And she decided to drink that muddy water. She vomited for a couple of days. She healed. And then what started happening is they tolerated her following them. So this girl would constantly follow the monkeys. And ये लोग जब खाना वाना खा रहे हैं, वो लोग हाथ में केले वेले ले रहे हैं, उनके हाथ से केला गिर रहा है. So she would quickly grab that and then she started feeding herself based on that.
Wow.
So they are dropping food, whatever, and some level they have kind of adopted her, but still not accepted her. Now, she is like there with them, and the first time she really got accepted is when one of the baby monkeys landed on her shoulder and then held her face. Like that was the first contact, like genuine loving contact from the monkeys. And when she really got a proper ET moment, and then when she really got accepted into the tribe, or into the group or colony, was when the monkey, one of the main monkeys, came and peed on her foot. Then she was properly accepted, and then they started teaching her how to slowly, she started following them. She started climbing trees. She started walking on all fours. Started being accepted by them. Unke saath khana wana kha rahi hai. And then she would wait for them if they went out scavenging for food. So they started accepting her being in the tree sleeping area jahan pe wo monkeys rahenge. She would wait for them to come. So now she is really part of it. Now a lot of people, when she came back and told the story, they are like, it is a child dealing with trauma. There was probably no monkeys. And this is like a life of Pi kind of situation where do you really think it was a tiger and an antelope?
Spoiler alert.
Huh?
Spoiler alert.
Spoil.
I think
Oh shit.
it is well spoiled by now.
Sorry, I spoiled Life of Pi, which is huh. So a lot of people have really pointed, and there have been a lot of naysayers and things like that about this.
Sure.
But by the way, this is not the worst part of a story. This was the happy part. So about like when she's like starting to grow a little older, and she's now figuring herself out, and she's probably now
कितने साल
most
हो गए
like
इसको?
huh?
ये कितने साल हो गए?
काफी 5 साल के लिए वहां पे शी इज नाउ
Oh
10 years old.
fuck!
He's with the
Okay.
monkeys for 5 years, 10 years.
5 years. So she has
5 years.
forgotten all language.
Oh.
At this point, she's communicating with, and a 5-year-old barely has language. So now this is her vocabulary. Her formative years have been with the monkeys. So she's used to being part of that culture, how to groom, how to be with them. वो सब कर रही है. And now she's basically running around naked in the jungle. And she stumbles upon hunters. And now she knows that these are still humans. So she runs up to them. And it's a 10-year-old naked girl running in the jungle, running up to hunters, asking them she grunted and asked them to rescue her. So they decide to take her. But there is no help because they sell her to a brothel, where she is named Gloria, and she is made to clean and do everything and then beaten up every day. And before she can be put with her first man, she fucks off. She runs as fast as possible and then starts living on the streets of the city called Kukuta with the homeless kids. And the homeless kids now change her name from Gloria to Pony Malta. It's some cold drink that she used to look like. So they named her like Pony Malta. So now what she does, living homeless, is steal from rich people. So she would wear short skirts, this, that, steal from the rich guys and like lure them, steal from their stuff. And then she would hide from the victims and the police in the trees, using the skills that she had learnt in the jungle. तो वो झाड़ पे उनसे पैसा ऐसा चुराती थी, पर्स चुरा के बाद में ऊपर बैठ जाती थी. ऐसे इसने काफी साल के लिए किया. And then she decided to, then she got an idea from one of the other homeless kids, is how you can get out of this homelessness is by becoming domestic help. So you get lodging and stay. So she started working with a family, and they named her, and they renamed her again, and they called her Rosalba. She started living with this family, but later she found out that the family was criminals.
Yeah.
Massive heavy duty criminals, and they decided to lock her up and keep her as a proper prisoner and a slave down. उसको बांध के रखते थे, and somehow she managed to escape with the help of their neighbor. So yeah, this is a woman called Rosalba, and she had 9 children. So she was very, very this about kids.
I thought they renamed her Rosalba only.
My bad. The woman's name was Maruja. The woman's name who helped her, the neighbor's name was Maruja. And she had 9
I thought the
kids.
girl's name was Maruja, which is quite on the nose for somebody who's gone through so much.
Now
dude, that's insane.
Maruja has helped this girl. So Marina has been helped by Maruja. Marina is her original name. So now Maruja has bought her a plane ticket and gave her the plane ticket and handed her for the first time in her life, she gave her a gift. She's never received a gift before. It's just a box with some ribbon.
How old is she now?
Yellow box with blue ribbon.
How old is
she?
She
has
now?
A dress, a clip, and white shoes and socks. He said that's the happiest moment of my life.
How old was she when this happened?
And she gets on the flight, and then she is adopted by one of Maruja's 9 children, Maria. She adopts her, takes care of her. At this point, she celebrates her 14th birthday.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And now she lives in Bradford. She's got a full family. She's got, I think, a couple of kids. Bradford, UK. She's almost 60 years old. And she enjoys grooming her daughter and occasionally biting her husband.
But the craziest part about the story is that apart from the person who rescued her, the monkeys were the best people that she encountered,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
best living things that she
No,
encountered.
and imagine for her, the first human she meets after all those years are those assholes.
Yeah.
Like as somebody who's grown up around monkeys who've accepted her, nurtured her, taken care of her, or whatever, you see humankind. At once you're like, fuck all these guys, bhag jao wapas, because forest is better because we already are like
Bro, this was
crazy.
Lion King, Jungle Book, Life of Pi. What else? The
Yeah.
Mama.
Mama.
Because she
Oliver.
had a lot of, she had trouble adjusting to normal life. Those homeless children taught her language again.
Yeah, imagine not knowing language. To when you're 5, 10 years old, when you're even with people, you can just what? Baba बंदर क्या करता है आवाज? तू literally यही कर रही है सबके सामने. Because you don't know
Yeah,
any
also
better.
the thing is, the people who used to interview her, right? They used to bait her into doing all this because she taught her children to make these noises. Like she learned that the monkeys used to make these noises for food and things like that, the baby monkeys. So when she was raising her daughter, she would teach the daughter these sounds so that she understands that the daughter wants food and things like that. And the daughter protects her in interviews now. Because when interviewers like to bait her and ask her what noise, and she would instinctively just start making the noises, and the daughter's like, you don't need to do that. So the daughter protects her because she's that innocent and like still that innocent and naive.
What a crazy story. And to witness and go through all of that till your
Before your
14th
14th birthday.
14th birthday, bro. What is that, man? Insane.
Bro, in that, every single event is a life event.
Yeah.
I mean, an unfortunately, horribly unfortunate life event, but dude, wow.
Yeah.
But
So-
crazy what human beings are capable of when they're really pushed and will have their backs against the wall, right? Something that you will not think about in your day-to-day life. If I were to throw you in that position, you would possibly become the complete opposite of the person you
Yeah.
are.
The survival
Right, like-
instinct, yeah.
Is incredible.
There's a quote by Hemingway. It kind of sums it up. It is something to the effect of, true character is revealed in adversity.
Hmm.
And so the Old Man in the Sea is also very similar. It's about
Yeah.
a guy who is surviving, right? And that's the whole thing of it. Like, you do not know how much you are capable of until you're tested to those limits.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's basically, like, if you're in any kind of situation, it doesn't have to be the sub-Saharan marathon.
Yeah.
It can be,
It could be your exam that is happening tomorrow. Could be
or
anything.
whatever it is in your life. But yeah, you just need, like, I think the reserves are always there. You just need to, push for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, obviously there are like a lot more inspirational and almost miraculous survival stories that are out there. But I think we'll wrap up this episode. So far, we'll do, because I think this warrants a part 2 and a part 3. We'll scour the internet more and find out other such incredible stories. So yeah, that's it from this episode of the Internet Set. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. And every time you see a water body, follow it downstream, because that leads
Upstream.
The upstream.
How crazy would it be if, God forbid, but if someone was lost in the forest and they were like, मैंने this podcast सुना था और उसमें
और ऐसे
उसमें
करके अरे
उसमें अगर
we
वो
should have
वरुण
like a-
ठाकुर और अगर उसने वरुण ठाकुर को सुना है तो ही फ्रॉम द वाटर बॉडी दैट पर्सन इज गोइंग डाउनस्ट्रीम इंस्टेड ऑफ गोइंग अपस्ट्रीम सो
तो उधर डाउनस्ट्रीम कोई उधर
Like,
बेल
down- down
नहा
the
रहे
upstream.
लोग कपड़ा धो रहे मिल सकते हैं. You never know.
Also, I
या
want
फिर
to
चुपचाप कपूचन monkeys को ढूंढो. They'll be the best.
Yeah, no, I want to plug one thing, very timely and sort of like, if you like this, then you can also check out. There are 2-3 other survival stories that you can find on Secondhand Stories, which is a thing I do on my channel. Check them out. Secondhand Stories will be back in March.
Woohoo!
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
It is
probably when Baba will also be back because बहुत काम है.
Okay, I've got a
Guys,
show.
if you want Baba to be there in all the other episodes, please let us know in the comments. Also, one more thing, guys, when I ask you to comment and all of that for engagement, please don't do like some people have been putting like one
Kautuk
letter.
Srivastav has
and-
asked them to do that.
No,
Yeah,
what?
we
Please
asked them.
Don't
We asked them.
guys don't. Oh, we asked them. Okay, fucking asshole, Kautuk. Don't do that.
Kautuk said,
If we
spread
asked you,
your
we are
comment
sorry.
out as one letter at a time.
नहीं मत कर यार. इसलिए आज मैं कमेंट पढ़ने की कोशिश कर रहा, एक किसने कुछ लिखा हुआ है, मैं आई थॉट कुछ क्रिप्टिक है, एक एक लेटर उसको जोड़ो तो कुछ निकलेगा।
Zodiac.
प्लीज ऐसा मत करो। बढ़िया, देखते रहो, लाइक करो, शेयर करो, प्लीज शेयर
Sorry,
करो
sorry.
और लोगों
I
को
have
बताओ
a
इसके
I have a
बारे
show
में।
plug.
हाँ बोलिए।
So I'm performing Macbeth in Mumbai and Delhi. It's called What's Done Is Done. You can check it out on Book My Show. It's called What's Done Is Done. So we'll be there at Prithvi Theatre from 15th through the weekend, and we'll be at Kamani Auditorium on the 24th and the 25th of February. So check it out on Book My Show. We'll keep the links down.
And
If you are in Singapore on the 15th of February, I am performing there with Azim Banatwala. So you can Singapore.
क्या बात है।
15th.
एंड ऑल ऑफ यू गाइस हु आर नॉट इन सिंगापुर, जो इंडिया में, चुपचाप मेरे शो के ले आओ। मेरा इंडिया टूर लेग 2 चालू हो गया है, नीचे लिंक है, क्लिक करो, टिकट खरीदो, आ जाओ। तुम लोग के लिए अर्ली बर्ड डिस्काउंटेड टिकट है, तो टिस पब्लिक प्लीज बाय इट सूनली। ऑलराइट, दैट्स इट फ्रॉम दिस एपिसोड, विल सी यू अगेन नेक्स्ट वीक। टिल देन, बाय बाय, टेक केयर, सलामेश, गुड नाइट, शबा खैर।
Upstream.
End stream.
follow it and
बाबा तू आएगा ना दोपहर को कल शूट करने?
जा
नेक्स्ट
बाबा,
टाइम
office
कल
जा
मैं
वापस।
शूट कर रहा हूँ भाई।
Baba, it's 1 a.m. We should go back to the office.
Guys, Baba's survival story is getting through the podcast without sleeping.
बाबा कब से दिख रहा है पारे? अपस्ट्रीम पानी है क्या किधर?
चल edit कर, edit.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.